Next, make the decorations. Divide it into the head, tail, tomato, pom-pom, paw pads and hanging loop. Make and attach them separately. First, crochet the head. Divide it into the main part and facial features. Start by crocheting the main part. After completing, make and attach the facial features. Here, the main part of the head also uses chain cast on. Then crocheting in rounds. New stitch techniques used include X for X stitch single crochet, V for single crochet increase, and A for single crochet decrease. Next, watch my demonstration. Here, for convenient watching, I still use cotton yarn for demonstration. Everyone can first learn the method, then use corresponding yarn to crochet later. First, chain cast on. Chain 2. After completing the first stitch, mark it. In the original version, simply pick the chain space with the marker thread to mark. Continue crocheting one stitch. Cast on complete. Then insert the hook into the second to last stitch, which is the marked stitch. Correspondingly make 6 single crochets. First crochet the first stitch. Before crocheting, pick the entire loop on the hook, and place a stitch marker to mark. Then insert the hook. Yarn over and draw through. Now there are 2 loops on the hook. This is a single crochet. The braid on the upper right is its stitch. It is also the position marked by the stitch marker. I'll demonstrate again. Pay attention, if you can't find the position accurately with the original yarn, mark every stitch. I'm using cotton yarn for crocheting here, which makes it easier to see the stitch position, so I only mark the first stitch. No more markers after that. Everyone should decide based on their actual situation. Insert into the insertion point of the previous stitch. Yarn over and draw through. Then yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. Complete the single crochet. Continue crocheting 4 single crochets. Check the stitch count after completing. With the original yarn, feel for the small hole. Then at the marker position of the first stitch, join with a slip stitch. You can remove the stitch marker from the previous insertion point here. Pull tight. Similarly, the slip stitch at the end isn't marked in the chart. When crocheting in rounds, always finish by joining with a slip stitch. Pull tight after completing. The first round is complete. When using the original yarn for crocheting, remember to mark after completing each round. This makes it convenient to check the number of rounds later. Move on to crochet the second round. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Note that the beginning chain isn't marked in the chart here. When crocheting single crochets in rounds, always start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Then pick up the marked stitch position. Work a single crochet increase, SC2 in 1, which means making 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Remember to mark before crocheting. When using the original yarn, depending on the situation, you can mark every single stitch, or mark every 3 or 5 stitches. Choose according to your actual situation. When marking the first stitch, you still need to use 2 stitch markers. For easy distinction, I'm still only marking the first stitch here. 1 stitch, 2 stitches. Complete the single crochet increase. Continue picking up stitches downward. Work 5 single crochet increases evenly across. Check the stitch count after completion. Then pick up the first stitch position, and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The second round is complete. Continue to crochet the third round. Make 1 beginning chain to start, then work 1 single crochet correspondingly. Followed by 1 single crochet increase. This completes the stitch pattern within the parentheses. Continue crocheting using this method. Finally, join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Pull tight. The third round is complete. For the following fourth round, the chart shows even 1/8x. It means 1 stitch corresponds to 1 single crochet, totaling 18 stitches. Then pick up stitches, and work single crochets correspondingly. After completing, check the stitch count. Then pick up the first stitch, and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The fourth round is complete. For rounds 5-6 afterward, no new stitch techniques or methods are used. Just follow the pattern chart for crocheting. Remember to make a beginning chain at the start of each round, finish with a slip stitch, and pull tight at the end. After completing, work the 7th round. Start by making a beginning chain, then work 1 single crochet. Next, make a single crochet decrease. Insert the hook. Yarn over and pull through. 2 loops remain on the hook. This is an incomplete single crochet. Continue with an adjacent incomplete single crochet. Insert, yarn over and pull through. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Next, work 1 single crochet. Finish the stitch pattern within the parentheses. Continue downward with 1 single crochet. Make an adjacent single crochet decrease. First, pick up 2 adjacent stitches. Work an incomplete single crochet. 1, 2. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Next, work 1 single crochet. Another group is done. Then, repeat this process. Continue crocheting. Complete the last stitch. Join with a slip stitch in the first stitch. Pull tight. The 7th round is completed. The rest, continue crocheting by referring to the pattern. After completing the second to last round, stuff a little fiber fill inside. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. Pick up the fiber fill. First, fluff it up before stuffing. Adjust the amount as needed. Too much will make it hard. Too little won't hold its shape. Just make sure the fabric is firmly stuffed after filling. Once properly stuffed, continue crocheting the final round. Complete this part on your own. After finishing, cut the yarn and leave a sewing tail. First secure with one chain stitch, then leave a yarn tail about 30 centimeters long. Cut off. Pull the yarn through. Gently tighten. There will be a small opening here. No need to handle it. That concludes the crocheting of the main part of the head. Proceed to the assembly below. First check the assembly position. Place the split side of the hat body at the back. Then align the front non-split position with the split area. The final layout should look like this. Then at the front. On the right side at the folded area. Slightly forward from that point. Centered within the folded region. Attach the head. The head assembly position can also be adjusted according to preference. Find the right spot. Begin assembly downward. I'll demonstrate the method using a swatch. The swatch position is arbitrary, mainly demonstrating the method. Use the yarn tail left previously. Pick up the opening at the bottom of the head, and sew it to the corresponding part of the hat body. No specific technique required, just make it secure. When using the original yarn in actual practice, use a sewing needle with a slightly bigger eye. Place the yarn tail behind. Then sew together. Once securely sewn, tie a few knots with the yarn. Weave in the remaining strands inside the fabric a few times. Then cut them off. When weaving in ends, you can weave in a few more stitches for security. Now the main part of the head is attached. Next, we'll make and attach the facial features, which include the eyes, ears and blush. Among these, the ears need to be crocheted. First, complete crocheting the ears, then attach the remaining parts. Let's start by crocheting the ears. We'll use a new stitch technique, T-half double crochet. Watch my demonstration. Here I'm still using cotton yarn for the demonstration. Begin with a foundation chain. Chain 5. When you actually use the original yarn to crochet, you can mark the first stitch. I won't mark it here. After completing, the chart shows reverse 3. So you can actually count 2 stitches to the right from the previously marked stitch. With the original yarn, feel the starting chain and insert the hook into the middle chain space. Then work 1 double crochet. Here I pick up 1 strand to insert the hook. With the original yarn, pick up the chain space. After completing, move left to the chain stitch. Work 1/2 double crochet. I pick up 1 strand here. With the original yarn, pick up the chain space. Yarn over the hook once. Insert. Yarn over and draw through. Then yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. Complete the half double crochet. Move down to pick the last chain stitch position. Work 1 single crochet. Then leave a 15 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. One ear is now crocheted. Follow the same method, crochet another ear. Move down to begin attaching. First attach the nose. When actually attaching, place the main part of the hat, as it was positioned during head assembly. I'm using a swatch for demonstration here. Then at the front center of the head. In a relatively centered position. Use glue to attach the nose. When gluing, part the fibers. Try to glue it to the lower yarn strand. Here the nose is placed horizontally. Then secure it firmly. The nose is now attached. Next, attach the eyes on both sides of the nose. Also use glue to attach them. First position them. Once it fits properly, part the fibers. Then glue them on. The eyes are now attached. Next, attach the ears. Place the ears diagonally above the eyes. About 2 centimeters away. Position the side with the yarn tail underneath. Then place them like this at the corresponding position. Use the reserved long yarn tail for sewing. There's no specific method required for sewing, just make sure it's secure. After sewing, check if the position is correct. Once it fits properly, tie a double knot with the 2 yarn tails. Hide the yarn tails and knots inside the fabric. You can tuck them in deeper for better results. That's how one ear is assembled. Install the other ear symmetrically. Complete this part on your own. Next, apply blush slightly below the eyes. Finally, for aesthetics, we'll use a brush to fluff up the fibers. During the process, some fibers get pressed underneath. Brush them out gently. Be light-handed when brushing here. You can also use a crochet hook or yarn needle to pick out the fibers. Then trim the fibers. Shorten the fibers around the facial features. Repeat this process until you achieve your desired effect. That's how the head is made. Next, let's make the tail. First, crochet, then attach it. The crocheting method is similar to the main part of the head, just the stitch count varies slightly. When working on round 2, make sure the right side faces out, meaning the side with the starting yarn tail should be inside. If you want a fuller tail, you can stuff it with appropriate filling while crocheting. After finishing, leave a 15 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. No new stitch techniques or methods are used, just follow the pattern chart to complete it. Once done, proceed with the attachment. Place it on the main part of the hat, on the opposite side symmetrically corresponding to the head. Attach it slightly inward from the edge. The method is the same as sewing the main part of the head. Pick up corresponding stitches around the opening and sew a few stitches. Complete it on your own. That concludes the explanation for the tail part. Next, make the tomato. It consists of the fruit, stem and leaves. Crochet them separately first, then assemble after completion. Finally attach it to the main part of the hat. Start by crocheting the fruit. Use cotton yarn for crocheting here. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Use the X-stitch single crochet technique here. Watch my demonstration. For easier viewing, I'll demonstrate with another color. Pick up the yarn with your right hand. Wrap it twice around your left index finger. Pinch the crossing point of the loop with your right hand. Take the loop. Then hang the yarn tail on the left hand. Transfer the loop between the thumb and middle finger of the left hand. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Insert into the loop. Yarn over and pull through. Secure with one chain stitch. This completes the adjustable magic ring. Move on to the first round. Make one chain as your beginning chain. Then pick up the stitch loop, and crochet the X-stitch single crochet. Mark before crocheting. Insert the hook into the loop. Place the hook above the yarn. Draw the yarn through. Then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Complete one X-stitch single crochet. Let me demonstrate again. Insert into the loop. Hook above the yarn. Pull the yarn through. Continue yarn over and draw through in once. Completed another X-stitch single crochet. Continue downward, pick up loops, and crocheting 4 X-stitch single crochets. The entire fruit uses the X-stitch single crochet technique. From now on, I'll simply refer to it as single crochet. Continue. 1 stitch. 2 stitches. 3 stitches. 4 stitches. Close the ring after completing. First gently pull the starting tail. You can see one moving yarn. Then tighten the moving yarn. Pull outward from the side of the starting yarn tail. At this point, there's still one loop left. Tighten the starting tail. This way the ring is closed. Then pick up the first stitch, and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The first round is complete. Continue to crochet the second round. Make one chain as your beginning chain. Then pick up stitches evenly and make single crochet increases. That is, make 2 X-stitch single crochets in the same position. If you can easily find the first stitch, you don't need to mark it. Continue crocheting this round all the way down. Check the stitch count after completing. You can also count stitches backward from the end. Find the first stitch. Insert the hook and make a slip stitch to join. Pull tight after completing. The second round is complete. For rounds 3-4 afterward, follow the chart for crocheting. Rounds 5-9 are worked even. The table shows our 5 or 9 here. Work even 2-4x. Starting from the 5th round, 1 stitch corresponds to 1 single crochet. Continue crocheting all the way to the 9th round. Each round consists of 24 single crochets. Remember to make a beginning chain at the start of each round. Finish with a slip stitch and pull tight at the end. All single crochets are worked as X stitch single crochets. Please refer to the chart. Complete these rounds. After completing, crochet the 10th round. First, make a beginning chain, then work 1 single crochet. Next, make a single crochet decrease. Insert the hook in the same way as the X stitch single crochet. First, work 2 incomplete stitches. 1, 2. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the single crochet decrease. Continue downward with 2 single crochets. Then make a single crochet decrease. For the following rounds, please refer to the chart for crocheting. Complete the last stitch. Join with a slip stitch at the beginning position. Pull tight. Round 10 is completed. For the remaining rounds afterward, please continue to follow the pattern chart for crocheting. After completing the second to last round, stuff appropriately with filling material. Then work the last round. After completing all crocheting, leave a 20 cm yarn tail for sewing. Please complete it. At this point, the crocheting of the fruit is explained. Next, crochet the stem. Pick up the corresponding color. Start with a chain stitch. Chain 3. Then on the second to last stitch, pick up 1 strand and work 1 slip stitch. Here, the slip stitch does not need to be pulled tight. Continue downward, pick up 1 chain stitch strand, work 1 slip stitch. Then cut the yarn. At this point, the stem is completed. Next, crochet the leaves. Use a new technique, skipping stitches. Please watch my demonstration. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Then make 1 chain as the beginning chain. Next, pick up the stitch loop and crochet 10 single crochets. Similarly, all single crochets here are worked as X stitch single crochets. Complete and close the ring. Then pick up the first stitch and join with a slip stitch. Tighten. The first round is complete. Leave the starting yarn tail here. Next, crochet round 2. First work 4 chain stitches. Then go back and pick up at the second to last stitch. Pick up one chain stitch strand. Work one slip stitch. When no special instructions are given later, slip stitches do not need to be tightened. Continue picking up one chain stitch strand in the adjacent stitch. Work one single crochet correspondingly. All single crochets are worked as X stitch single crochets. Next, work one half double crochet. Below you see K, which indicates skipping a stitch. When there is no number after K here, it defaults to skipping one stitch. Skip one stitch to the left. Here we skip one stitch from the previous round. Pick up one stitch. Work one slip stitch. Completed the stitch pattern within the parentheses. Let me demonstrate again. First, work 4 chain stitches. Go back and start from the second stitch. Pick up one chain stitch strand. Work one slip stitch correspondingly. One single crochet. One half double crochet. Skip one stitch to the left. Work one slip stitch. Another group completed. Continue crocheting using this method afterward. Complete the last group. Leave a 15 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. At this point, the leaf is crocheted. Now proceed with the assembly. First, attach the stem to the leaf. Thread the beginning and ending yarn tails of the stem through the center back of the leaf. Then tie knots with the starting yarn tail in pairs. Trim the remaining yarn tails short and place them on the wrong side. This completes the stem attachment. Next, attach the leaf to the top of the fruit. Position the center of the leaf, corresponding to the center of the fruit starting round. Then pick up the stitches of round 1, and the stitch below on round 2. Match and sew together roughly. There's no specific method required, just keep it flat and neat. First, thread the needle. Then sew. If you want the leaf edges to sit smoothly against the fruit, secure the pointed shape area. Finally, make several knots. Then weave in the ends into the fabric. You can weave in a few extra stitches. The leaves are now attached. Finally, attach the whole tomato to the main part of the hat. Then use the reserved yarn to pick up the bottom and match, and sew together roughly. Same method, no specific requirements, just make it secure. Complete this part on your own. At this point, the tomato making is done. Next, make the pom-pom. The technique is similar to the head, just the number of stitches and rounds is slightly different. After completing the second to last round, you need to insert a squeaker inside, while adding a small amount of stuffing. Don't make it too firm. Then continue crocheting the final round. When finishing, leave a yarn tail about 10 centimeters long for sewing. Complete this part. Once done, don't attach it yet. Set it aside for now. Next, crochet the paw pads. There are 2 sizes. The method for the larger paw pads is similar to the tomato fruit, only with slight differences in stitch count and rounds. Both use the X-stitch single crochet technique. Please refer directly to the chart. Complete this part. When finished, leave a yarn tail about 30 centimeters long for sewing. Next, I'll explain the smaller paw pads. A new stitch technique is used. W single crochet, 1 stitch into 3. Please watch the demonstration. Start with a foundation chain. Chain 4. Then begin from the second stitch from your hook. Pick up the chain above. Make 2 single crochets evenly. Still work the X-stitch single crochet. Next, work 3 single crochets into the same stitch. That is, make 3 single crochets in one position. 1 stitch. 2 stitches. 3 stitches. Complete the single crochet increase, 3 SC in 1. Pick up the other side of the stitch and go back to crochet. Start from the adjacent chain stitch. Pay attention not to pick up the 3 single crochets here. Pick up the remaining half of the chain. Work 1 single crochet. Remember to weave in the yarn tails. Work 1 single crochet increase, SC2 in 1, adjacent. Finally, pick up the first single crochet, and join with a slip stitch. You can pull tight or not. Then leave a 15 centimeter yarn tail, and break the yarn. Now a small meat pad is crocheted. Everyone follow the same method. Complete the corresponding number of small meat pads. After completion, attach the pads to the pom-pom. First refer to the finished product effect. Arrange the position. Here the wrong side of the pad should face outward. That is, the side with blurry texture. The yarn tail for starting chain of the large meat pad can be crocheted to the right side, pressed underneath. The yarn tail for starting chain of the small meat pads can be cut off. Then place the small meat pads vertically. Evenly position them above the large meat pad. Place all pads centered on the pom-pom. You can use a small amount of glue to secure the position first. Similarly, part the fibers when securing. Then use the reserved yarn. Pick the edges and sew a few stitches roughly corresponding. Next, I'll demonstrate the sewing method. Here, I'll use this swatch for demonstration, only demonstrating the method. Thread the needle. Meanwhile, I'll use the small meat pad as an example. Following the previous placement method. Position correctly. Then pick the fabric at roughly corresponding positions to sew. No specific method required. Secure it well. Finally, tie off and weave in the ends. You can weave in a few extra stitches. This way, the small meat pad is sewn together. The remaining meat pads can be sewn using the same method. Complete it on your own. At this point, the meat pad section is explained. Next, crochet the hanging string. Use the hanging yarn to chain. Here, I'll still demonstrate with cotton yarn. You'll need 2 yarn tails for crocheting. A yarn ball has 2 yarn tails. One on the surface. One in the center. Pick up both yarn tails. Then leave about 15 centimeters. Combine the yarn and make a slip knot. Place it on the crochet hook. Next, hang one strand with your left hand. And lay the other strand over the hook from below. Yarn over and pull through. Continue laying the lower yarn strand over the hook. Then yarn over and pull through again. Repeat this process afterward. I'll crochet a few more stitches. This is the method for hanging yarn and crocheting chain stitches. Continue downward using this technique. Crochet to the length indicated on the chart. Once the proper length is reached, leave a 15 centimeter yarn tail and cut the yarn. Pull the loop on the hook through. Tie a knot with both yarn tails to secure. This completes the hanging loop. Attach the hanging loop to the main part of the hat below. Then attach pom-poms to both ends. I'll demonstrate this method using a swatch. First, position the main part of the hat as before, with the split side at the back. Align the unsplit sections. Then thread from one side across the front to the other side, starting from the pointed corner at the edge of the hat. Insert the hanging loop into the chain space at the edge going upwards. Then, about 4 centimeters above, exit through the second large space inward from the edge. Next, at the second chain space upward from the edge, skip one chain space. Insert and exit alternately with the hanging loop. Continue threading until reaching the other side of the hat's edge. Note that the other side should end with an exit. While threading, check the position as you go. After completing, adjust the length of both ends of the hanging loop. This way, the hanging loop is installed. Finally, attach the pom-pom to the hanging loop. Here, use the reserved yarn from the pom-pom. Pick up the hanging loop, and secure with a few stitches. No specific method is required. Just make it secure and neat. The yarn from the hanging loop can be threaded into the pom-pom. After completing, pick up the side and tie a knot. Hide the remaining yarn tails inside. The extra yarn tails from the hanging loop can be hidden inside as well, or you can just cut them off. This way, the pom-pom is installed. Install the other one in the same way. At this point, all decoration parts have been explained. Finally, we'll brush all the yarn-made sections. Use a brush to fluff up the fibers. The method is the same as for the head earlier. Don't brush too hard. Just gently pick out the fibers. You can also use a crochet hook or yarn needle to pick out the fibers, as long as the final effect looks pleasing. Up to this point, the entire hat making process is fully explained. If you have any unclear parts during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.